kilometers started to make her move. There's not that dominant male figure in the boys' race.
No, I don't think so, definitely. We're going to look and see battle between the three we previewed earlier on. Jacob Burcham, again, another one to watch is Hardy from the, Joe Hardy from the Northwest region. A lot of individuals that just off the cusp there. Very deep field, I believe 7 of the top 9 individuals from track and field at 3,200 meters are in this field. The top 3 milers as well. This is a very, very talented, very deep field. We've seen the fields for NXN individually get deeper and deeper each year. And of course, we've seen the trend nationally, team-wise, get stronger. And there's the cannon, we're off.
And once again, 283 meters to that first long, bending left-hand turn. Sun's glare is so great. And do we have, I believe we have Chris Zielinski and Andrew Wheating back on our gators, and we will have them give us reports as this race plays along. But a lot of the other guys we were talking to, Rich, were talking how they thought that Nick Ryan, based on last year, was going to go out hard again. And we saw him at the New York region, a huge gap. There was a picture we saw up online, and there was this huge gap between him and the rest of the field.
Right. Now, he's a very, very dangerous individual. We've seen both Manly's on both cross country and track and field. In the big races, the kids really come out to run. They're very aggressive. And there's talk about Nick Ryan in winning, but also I wouldn't really overlook the Manlius team as a whole. They always run their best at the very end of the year. I think everyone's forgotten about them. It's a very good squad. We'll see how high in the order they actually end up finishing.
Well, there's our lead pack setting out. And Chris, it looks like they're going pretty hard.
Yeah, that's something you just got to expect, especially a huge race like this, and especially a huge high school race like this. High schoolers renowned for getting out hard, and everyone's I think is a little bit scared of getting caught in narrow parts of the course. So I mean, my year especially, people got out. You can bet they were on their gallop.
You know, it's interesting. There's Jake Langgang from Bismarck Cross Country in the red. He's our early leader. They passed the hay bales. They'll do those on the second lap. I remember talking to Todd Williams, the great distance runner and friend and fellow broadcaster, and Todd was telling me he got 6th at the World Cross Country one year, and he said that entire preparation for that, my first quarter mile in every workout was 60 seconds because I had to get ready to go into oxygen that right away because it's so hard to make up ground that you lose in the early first kilometer.
Especially, yeah. I mean, in cross country, it's definitely an important thing to be able to recover from making a hard move. When I did junior cross, I probably should have learned that lesson. I probably went out in about 70th because I got blown up off the line. But it's really important to be able to get out hard and then settle and recover through the hard patches because you're going to have hard patches on this course, especially with this mud. So you got to be able to recover aerobically.
Nick Ryan in the yellow of Manlius in front. He's on the left of the screen, right in the middle of the screen.
That appears to be actually Joe Hardy, it looks like, from the Northwest region champion out of Washington. A very, very powerful junior. Had an outstanding sophomore year, 8:55 for 3,200 meters on the track, and then really carried it over on cross-country courses this fall. That indeed is him. That is Hardy right there in front.
And we saw him win the Northwest region. And then he sort of just ran through the border clash last weekend here in Portland over at the Nike campus. But right is Chris Zielinski. You're out on that lead vehicle?
Yeah, I think, as you can see, I think this is probably the most evidence of Nick Ryan ever being buried in the pack with all this mud covering him up. And you can see evidence of the course just being completely chewed up from the women's race. These men are just completely covered. And it'll be interesting to see how this race unfolds with the deteriorating course conditions.
It's that bad, huh?
Oh, it's nasty. These guys, I've seen already a bunch of guys already stumble and struggle to stay on their feet. So it'll be a developing story in this race, I think.
Andrew Wheating, are you in that chase vehicle? What do you see?
Yeah, it's quite a wild ride out here. I've seen shoes pop off into the air. I've seen bib numbers flying off. The only people I can keep track of have orange hunter hats on. So you're gonna have to give me some time to kind of feel out the field, but it's looking very muddy and pretty crazy.
Well, I can tell you, we can take a look. A couple years ago, they split in 2:20 for the first K. This year, 2:29. I mean, 9 seconds over kilometers. That's not talent. That's conditions.
For sure, and I doubt if that was actually the kilometer mark, right? But certainly that gives you an indication of the conditions out there. I think there's definitely an advantage for some of those guys at the front being the aggressor in these conditions. With how, every step here is going to be an adventure, and the pace is going to yo-yo back and forth depending upon the footing. And it's better to be the guy initiating that pace change when you find the good footing, when you find the good line, than to be the guy trying to scramble through the mud to catch back up after you lose a step or two.
Chris Zielinski, who do you have in the lead there?
Right now I'm a little off the lead, but if it's anything similar, it's going to be hard to actually pick out a leader and determine who's the one initiating the pace. Right now it's a big mass of guys, and whoever can survive this inner loop, we'll see how they look at the 2K mark.
Well, they're a huge pack running right together, but Joe Hardy, as you're saying, is still right up there.
And we're getting a chip report saying that actually was, in fact, Nick Ryan. Looked very much like Hardy, same type of form, the same gallop, same size. It just looked very much like him. We'll see. We are also in our first team scores, either through the kilometer or at that mile spot.
I think both those guys might be up there. I think I recognize a Northwest and a Manlius singlet up
Because I know a
there.
Manlius has that like the yellowish orange singlet we saw, almost a burnt yellow. But everyone is sort of right. That pack is still very, very densely bunched. Jacob Burcham is up in there. Bernie Montoya. And again, Bernie Montoya ran 4:01.3 at that Dream Mile in New York City last summer. So that's a lot of speed. But how does he go from Arizona and the desert conditions to the Portland Meadows bog?
Right, and one of the things that I'd be just interested to see with him. You watch him racing the track. He's one of those guys who likes to hang back a little bit in that Dream Mile. He came, I think, from 7th. Going in the last lap all the way to the lead. Guys like that, they like to run a little bit below their aerobic threshold, just kind of hang back, feel good, and then give you that big move at the end. It's going to be hard to feel good on this course today. And it's going to be hard to kind of withstand some of these moves, especially if Nick Ryan wants to push the pace. So I'll be interested to see how he responds, if he's going to be able to keep within himself and keep kind of feeling good, and then be able to make that move at the end as he's kind of known for.
So you think it's a good strategy against somebody with that kind of speed is maintaining that hard effort all the way so he can't sort of rest and recover and load up that spring.
Certainly, and I think in these conditions for sure, it's kind of a fine line, because if you go out too hard and start to fade, you're really going to fade in this mud if you run into 6-inch deep water. But if you can ride that line and keep yourself in control and put people under pressure, maybe make a hard move when you get some good footing. Maybe he'll respond to you. You can build up those little surges over time. And I think what's especially going to be effective is going to be a hard move for maybe a mile or so out.
Yeah, chip away, chip away, chip away. Chris Zielinski, who's chipping away out there?
It looks like Nick Ryan's trying to make a little bit of move, but the Northwest guys are familiar with these kind of conditions, and they look pretty composed. Bernie, he's stalking a little bit. We'll see if he can cover. There's a little bit of a push, a little bit of a gap. See if he can get in this main group and hang and use his miler speed. But right now, they're all kind of waiting for a big move to happen. I'm waiting as myself, and it'll be an interesting race that unfolds over the last mile and a half.
Well, we saw Sam Wharton's name in there. Sam Wharton from Tippecanoe, Ohio. He's a senior. He was 21st last year after being 5th at the Midwest Regional in 2011, but he was 2nd this year at the Midwest Regional. He was outkicked by Alex Reba. And so Sam Wharton, we expected him to be, certainly in the mix, and there he is as well. Nick Ryan, Manlius cross country. Again, he had the big lead after 2 miles.
And we see our splits here. It's split number 2, American Fork out of Utah. Big lead 108, Northbrook out of the Northwest 156. Carroll out of the South region of Texas 175. Lincroft out of New Jersey 190. And Philadelphia, another school from the Northeast region, at 198.
Well, what's the surprise in there?
American Fork in the lead by that much, without a doubt. Very good team, but seeing them being at 48 right now, very, very surprising.
Now, Bernie Montoya has now joined that front group, and that was split 2 that American Fork had 108 points.
And you can really see in the
Estevan
scores there how close all these teams are. And that's something that happens on the high school level as opposed to, say, the college level. Just the depth and how close everyone is just tremendous, because, obviously you can't recruit. You're taking a random sampling of high schoolers and trying to train them up as best you can. And you get really, really deep fields where everyone can really make, it's really, really close to each other from, 6th on through 15th.
So given the fact that North Spokane currently is in second, it leads us to believe it looks like Kai Wilmot is actually performing very well, because they do need him to perform to get on that podium.
Once again, he has not raced this year. He has an IT band problem, but his team's saying if he could get himself into where he normally should be or anywhere close, then we got our shot, because they return all 7 members of last year's 7th place squad. American Fork Cross Country out of Utah, the Southwest Region champs. None of this team was on the varsity 2 years ago. That's how quickly things can turn with the team.
In the last several years, Utah making a big push, not just one program, but several programs showing well in the national stage. So great for them. And again, they have their state meet in mid-October for something to keep that kind of fitness all the way through the long haul. Impressive statement in terms of coaching as well as the kids' commitment.
Connor Olson now in the lead, and this is the first time we have actually something of a lead to speak of. He's number 5 individual out of the Heartland, so he certainly wasn't somebody that we sort of prepped as being somebody who's going to be in this position.
No, not a big surprise at all, for definitely. We saw, once again, we mentioned Wayzata on the girls' side. They finished in the top 7, which is a big surprise, and now here individually. But Estevan DeLaRosa out of Arcadia High School, only a junior. I thought maybe he might be the national favorite next year, and he's already coming along well ahead of pace here in the top group. Sam Wharton again from the Midwest, Sumner Goodwin from the Northwest, Robert Delmonic from the South Region.
Well, of course, Arcadia, what a great tradition they've got. Our Marmusa name that we recently saw there moving on. He was a great champion from that school.
And younger brother Mahmoud Musa, he's their key number 5 scorer this year, a big part of this year's program. But one thing that's missing here are the favorites. You don't see Langang, you don't see Burcham, you don't see Montoya. The big names are missing up there right now, but we'll see what's that play out down the stretch here.
Olson, DeLaRosa, and Wharton.
DeLaRosa was very impressive at the Stanford Invitational, won by a very, very impressive showing there to win the championship in that seeded race. Interestingly enough, he's been number 2 on his team most of the year. His teammate Mitchell Pratt, a senior, has usually been a front runner for them.
Well, he was second at the Division I, the CIF championships, right? And he was 35th last year here at NXN. So he's got experience. Robert Domanic, the South Region champ, is in here from Louisville, Texas, state 5A champion.
And here we go with our latest split scores. American Fork now at 127. So at that last split, they're at 108. They've gone up by 17 points. And here we go. Lincroft, our defending champions, now in second, 162. North Spokane, our co-favorites, 168. Arcadia trying to get on the podium the 3rd year in a row at 172. And Philadelphia, the Northeast, 197.
Boy, this is close.
It's heating up.
Lincroft, North Spokane, and Arcadia, 160. That's only 10 points between. But American Fork lost just a little bit. They were 108 at split 2. This is split 3. And now they're at 125. But they still maintain just under a 40-point lead over Lincroft. North Spokane just 6 points behind them. Arcadia 4 points behind them. It is all on the table here at NXN 2012 in the boys race.
And as we look through the pack, there's a lot of points to be had here in 50th through 70th place. We're bunched very tightly. A few seconds can make a huge difference for these teams.
This is where you got to really dig down. This is where the pain is extreme. The first couple of kilometers you can sort of get yourself through. And then you sort of find pain and hold on.
And this is going to be, kind of the most despairing part of the course here, because especially for these guys, there's a ton of people around them. You still got a ways to go. You're really hurt, but you got to really work through these next 800 to 1,000 meters and get to kind of that hope point where you're close to the finish line and can dig deep.
13 minutes, 15 seconds on the clock. Let's go out to Andrew Whiting with the Chase Gator.
All right, well, it looks like North Spokane's been running pretty close together. They got a nice, good pack there. Kinetic's been working very well as well. Arcadia's got a few guys together. Seems like the teams kind of pick up a teammate and run together. But each team's been making quick little movements, and so it's still quite an open title.
Thanks, Andrew. Let's go up to the lead gator now, Chris Zielinski. Chris, any changes up front?
The Olson, who made that big move, he's surrounded by a bunch of other guys, and I'm actually watching them come around the corner to me because our gator can't even keep up with these guys in the front in the middle of the loop, and I see another move being made. Arcadia's got a guy up there. This race is going to be a very exciting finish because they're stringing out, but there's nobody who's out of touch yet.
Connor Olson, Estevan DeLaRosa, Sam Wharton, those are the top 3 last time we checked. Rich, what do you make of this?
It's definitely surprising. Now, DeLaRosa, again, the Stanford winner, it was mid-season actually had him ranked #1 in California, even though he had lost more often than not to his teammate. But there was just something he showed at that meet right there. Really, really great ability to withstand pain and discomfort. The one thing I'm not convinced on is that he's really hooked on to working hard every day in workouts. And when he does, he will be the man to beat next year. And as we're seeing, he may very well be the man to beat this year.
Looks like Sam Morton's making a bit of a move. I think this is the kind of move that can be decisive in this type of race. 1,000 meters to go, or a little inside of a mile to go. You can really put some pressure on people.
And, you know, he's got that hips underneath sort of a power sort of thing. He's not a lifter. He's not that track form where he's got that. He's pushing himself through, which is really good for this low center of gravity sort of course.
Watching him run, he looks exactly like my old teammate Jimmy Riddle, who came in and got 6th place for us in this race to help us pull out the victory. Bringing back some memories here.
All right, Rick, armband.
You don't make a move like that unless you're serious about making it stick.
For sure, and what I'd like to see him do here is really use the corners, use any kind of advantage he can to just get a couple hard steps and keep pushing that gap a little further and a little further.
Now we're seeing our 4K split. American Fork still in the lead at 128. Again, their point total just inching up 3 more points. Arcadia moving up now in second at 154. Lincroft, New Jersey, slipping to third at 164. North Spokane, 169. And a bit of a surprise, Philadelphia moving up there at 199. So 2, 3, 4, pretty much what we expected. Not quite in that order, but a surprise at 1 and 5. And no sign yet of Carroll in terms of on that leaderboard. We've gone through 4 splits already.
16 minutes, 9 seconds on the clock. What kind of lead does that look like, Chris Zielinski?
It's a very small lead. The biggest question I have in my mind is the shortest route through the mud or the longer route on the dry. What's going to be the best advantage? But it looks like the shorter, wet route is going to be the path to victory today.
Thanks. Now, Andrew, any movement back there in the Chase Gator?
No, it's just getting muddier and wetter. It seems like it's just a matter of holding on and trying to move in the last possible minute and picking off as many guys as you can, because it's pretty much chaos out here.
Well, Sam Wharton leads this race, and he's moving in at 17 minutes on the clock. It just shows you how slow this course has been as the champion hits the line in 17:08.
Arcadia getting that low stick in here. I look back at the results. I don't think anyone's ever won without a team scorer in the top 10. So that's definitely going to be crucial. I think we got American Fork's first runner coming in here through as well, along with Lincroft.
17:08 for Sam Wharton is the champion. And I don't know when the last time we had actually somebody who was not the region champion becoming the NXN champion.
We got American Forks #2 coming through as well.
Looks like 2 in for Arcadia at least already.
And the thing is that some of these guys are so covered with mud, it's really difficult to read their singlets.
I hate to be the camera guy.
There's Philadelphia. There's another Philadelphia.
I see another American Fork, I believe.
There's usual number 5 for Arcadia now in. There's 4 for Arcadia in. Arcadia making a late rush here.
Well, we saw Arcadia come from the 3rd to the 4th split, make a big jump into 2nd position. And now they've really stamped their mold here in that finish and see if they've maintained that roll they were on in mid-race form.
American Fork just had 2 come through there.
At least 5 for Arcadia now through in the chute.
Same for American Fork, I believe.
It's going to be great.
So throughout the race, American Fork at split 2 was in front over North Spokane, Carroll, Lincroft, and Philadelphia. At split 3, it was American Fork, then Lincroft, North Spokane, Arcadia, and Philly. But then the change was in split 4, where American Fork maintained its lead, Arcadia some 16 points behind, then Lincroft, then North Spokane, then Philadelphia.
In the whole weekend, all the athletes wrote credentials, given access to all the areas. We found one credential actually that was lost yesterday, which was the name of Sam Wharton. We have a feeling after today's race, everyone will know who he is with or without a credential. It's a great performance, real step-up effort.
And you know, he's a Midwest boy. And as we know, I am the Midwest captain, so I'm very proud of my boy, Sam Wharton.
Here we go. Here we go.
We brought him home. But 17:08, just to show you, last year, 34 degrees, very chilly conditions where they had to run hard, and it was not nearly as wet as this. 2 minutes faster. Just extraordinary. It's a 2-minute day. Well, I mean, Futsum Zenesalese is a great athlete, but still, it's nearly a 2-minute day out there.
For sure. It looks like a bloodbath out there. I mean, this course just looks absolutely torn up. And, I mean, you can, from year to year, the mud is really the determining factor. That's the excuse I use for why 20 people broke my course record the year after I ran.
And at cross country, it's all about the position, not the time.
In the last straightaway yesterday, there were a couple of spots down that last stretch which were in really, really bad shape. And Team Nike helped pump out some of the water, make it a little bit safer, but in the end, still also leaving some of that competitive factor down the stretch to really sort out the top individuals.
But it really did rain again last night. I mean, it turned very nice this morning, but last night the rain just re-dampened this course.
So a lot of interchange on that tote board the last couple of splits there. A lot of interchange.
Except for American Fork.
Right. Now we'll see if they held up in the last split. But 2 through 5, there was plenty of shuffling. We'll see if American Fork, which at one point, let's see, in our 2 split, our 2K split, they had scored, I believe it was 108. Then it was 125, and I believe the last one we saw on the board was 129. So definitely inching upward. And we did see on the opposite side, Arcadia. They were not on that leaderboard on that second split. Then they moved in at 5. Then it was 4. Then it was 2. So we'll see how it all sorted out at the very, very end.
I was trying to look for the American 4 team coming through. They had 2 guys pretty far up there, definitely in the top 10 team scoring. And then they went to a third guy kind of in no man's land, and then 2 guys come in one after another. I think around the same time as Arcadia's 5 came in, but I can't be sure.
And one thing to keep in mind also, with a lot of individuals, non-team scores in that race, so it could give it, what you actually see the naked eye could be very, very different in the scoring once you take out those individual non-scorers.
I'm sure Arcadia wishes they could have some of those individuals score with how far DeLaRosa was up there.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Great race for him. Nice breakthrough. So now the wait begins. And again, individually, we hadn't seen this in years past where a lot of the favorites coming in struggled. Some of them moved on the leaderboard on the second split and the third split, actually, and then began to fall off once again. So it'll be very interesting to see and talking to some of the individuals after the race this evening as to how things played out. But Sam Wharton